Just to say good morning, everyone. We're diving straight into a discussion here. If you've just joined, we'll catch you up to speed and I'll give you context on this in a second. Just to say good morning and welcome. Yeah, we 38 people. I think we were a little bit more in the peak of yesterday. So I imagine people will slowly start joining us. But just to show you the agenda for the morning, we've got our, hi, Audrey. You wanted to add to that, or do you want to raise something else?
Josh, yes, I just wanted to tender apologies for Dorf. He will be signing in a little bit late. He's just in another meeting.
Great. Thanks, Audrey. We'll catch him along the way. Yeah, thanks for letting us know. Yeah, so we've got our municipal guest speaker, Frans Brando from Ekurhuleni, going to share some insights into their journey, how they've been going. It's been really good, as I said yesterday, because Frans has been part of the program, part of our sort of community of this whole Embedded Gen program. So yeah, I'll be looking forward to hearing how that's going, Frans. And then Audrey Smith, we're going to put you on the spot afterwards because you sent me some fantastic work that you've been doing using these template guidelines, getting it approved by council. So we just want to hear how that's going at around once Frans is done, but not a presentation, just sharing your experience to try and yeah, share learnings for other municipalities. So, and then really the focus of today is to get everyone to walk away with a municipal wheeling guideline. So after that presentation, then we don't have any more inputs. Then I've updated our, we had the municipal wheeling guideline. I shared it yesterday and I scrolled through it, that Word document template. And Audrey's going to show us how they've customized that for Umhlatuzi municipality, Richards Bay, obviously being a big industrial area. They've got a lot of customers asking them to wheel. So it's great that Audrey and the team at Umhlatuzi have used this template. And then, yeah, so I've updated the template since yesterday to sort of reflect the nurses wheeling rules and some changes that we picked up as we went through, made more explicit mention of the Western Cape government's wheeling contracts. So I'll share a link to the updated guideline, and then the idea is really to get everyone to customize that today and walk away with a fully customized municipal wheeling policy or municipal wheeling guideline or municipal wheeling framework for your municipality. So that's the plan of action, just the one presentation from Frans. Does anyone have any questions on sort of admin bits or yesterday's or anything related to that? We are trying to get hold of the Eskom presentation. They haven't sent it to us yet. So Nick sent out the resources from yesterday, but it excluded the Eskom presentation because they haven't shared it. I'm wondering why, if there's a reason we haven't received it, if it's confidential information or something like that, I'm not sure. But we'll keep bugging them for that because there was a lot of useful stuff in that Eskom presentation. And then Noah's raised this question that we must discuss about whether we want to charge generators a tariff for connecting to the grid. Maybe I can just quickly respond because it feels like it's fresh and everyone's thinking about that right now. Maybe we can just have 5 minutes on that and then we'll jump into Frans's presentation. So the sort of the background to the story is obviously municipalities, we have a certain cost of running our business, and that's your revenue requirement for the year. And then you, with the cost of supply study, you allocate all that revenue to all your customers according to their usage of the network. So the way we design tariffs is according to the principle of cost causation. So the costs that you cause are the costs that you should pay. And that's the whole idea of cost reflective tariffs. You pay tariffs that reflect your costs. Obviously, not all customers pay cost-reflective tariffs because there's some cross-subsidies between customer categories according to affordability. If there's customers that can't afford to pay fully cost-reflective tariffs, then we try and subsidize their tariffs so that we can provide electricity service for human development and all the other wonderful benefits electricity provide. And so then we overcharge some and we undercharge others intentionally. That's the whole cross-subsidy process. Now there's this question of a generator connects to the network, and do we want to charge them for feeding into the network? So now the question is, does your revenue requirement change And if you're going to charge them a tariff, it best be through a cost of supply process where you fairly allocate costs to everyone. Now, the only time I can see generators driving additional costs is if, because I mean, a generator feeding into your distribution grid reduces your demand on the network from Eskom. There might be a certain portion close to them where your infrastructure needs upgrading. So that would normally the process in the way George and Cape Town have done it is the generators pay to connect to the network. So if you need to upgrade a substation or a certain line to accommodate this generator, then they pay for that through a capital contribution, or they build and install the substation that they want to connect to, and they hand it over to the municipality. And so it's usually the way generators are accommodated on distribution grids is by an upfront contribution for the infrastructure. But obviously, you can. So Eskom's transmission grid accommodates generators and loads, and both pay use of system charges. So you can do it by, you can charge generators tariffs, but then at the cost of supply process, you need to split your costs between loads and generators. The way we've done it now, and the way Cape Town's doing it, and the way George is doing it, they're saying, we're recovering all our costs from loads. These generators, we're going to just continue to recover the costs from the loads. So it's a little bit of a gray area, and the sort of cost of supply process in South Africa doesn't really speak to charging generators distribution use of system charges, because it's not something that we have experience with. So the easiest way to accommodate wheeling in the short term is just to continue to recover all your costs from your loads, and to recognize that generators don't really drive, or at least in small penetrations, they don't drive additional costs on the network. But in the long term, we might want to update our cost of supply processes to recover costs from generators as well as loads. That's my view on it. It's sort of an emerging area. I think it's something we can argue about now, because I'm sure people have different views, and that's great. And you're free to charge generators demand charges, but then importantly, you need to reduce your tariffs that you're recovering from your loads, because you have the same revenue requirement. And if you want to make more money from someone, then you need to reduce it somewhere else. So yeah, that's kind of my view. I don't know if anyone else has a view, Noah, if you have strong takes on that. Yeah, it's somewhere we need to work on the regulatory framework.
No, thanks, Josh. I think that was a fair one. Or maybe maybe I don't know the guys
Please.
From Eskom, if they were here, maybe they were just gonna give us a little bit of insight of what maybe
it would be nice to have
what informed that, because of like maybe it's my thinking again as you were deliberating on this on it. My thinking is maybe they were looking at, because remember Eskom is just a generator. It was a generator and transmitter at the same time. And then obviously, like part of the distribution, they do part of the distribution. Maybe it's like they were factoring the cost of generation to say, if, for example, the cost of generation, if you shift it to maybe a private generator, maybe the cost of the capital cost, maybe try to split the capital cost. I don't know. Maybe it's like it was coming from that perspective. So that's what I was just, as I was contemplating last night, I was just trying to put it into context, into a municipal context, as a distributors, because we don't own any generators, we don't even have any generating what you call capital cost. So maybe with us it would be different. So that's why I was just trying to find that thing to say, if we may be able to, will it be fair to our customers, if we may be able to apply the gen cost as well, like Eskom, as I'm saying, Eskom is like they're talking from the context of being the sole provider, electricity energy provider for all the years, to say they have to put all the capital costs for the generators, and if the generators now they are going to be to running at less load, and how are they going to recover the gen capital cost if maybe other generators are coming in the system. Maybe it was, I was just trying to find the thinking behind it, but I think it's like in the way you've put it, and the way Bernard have put it as well, I think is making a little bit of more sense.
Thanks, Noah. Yeah, it's an interesting one. Let's see if it comes up through the morning. Maybe we can, Frans, we can hear your take on how Ekurhuleni's approached that. Yeah, so thanks, Noah, for raising it. Shall we jump in, Frans? How are you doing? Are you ready to talk us through your process in Ekurhuleni?
Yes, no, thanks, Josh. I just thought that, you know, a good old, the little bug was also with me because right at 9 o'clock, the network dropped.
Okay.
And I thought, and there was, and also the presentation just said, I can't do this. And I thought, okay, no. But okay, no, I'm all good.
Are you back? Are you fixed?
Yes,
Okay.
I'm there. So
fantastic,
I think
Frans.
you should be able to see my screen now there.
We can. Looks great.
Good. Okay, that's a good morning, everyone. My name is Frans Brando, City of Ekurhuleni. Been with this roadmap since 2019. But as you will see later on, this wheeling is not just from 2019, it goes way back to 1993. So a bit of a, just a bit of a history and so on. So I'm going to continue there. So, okay, so my contents is just COE at a glance, SALGA guideline points, COE wheeling framework, credits from Eskom, and COE billing. Okay, so, right, let's dive into City of Ekurhuleni at a glance. This is City of Ekurhuleni. We are surrounded by City of Joburg, City of Tshwane, Delmas, Lesedi, Midvaal, and Sedibeng. Okay, and we consist of 9 service delivery areas, SDA, or the erstwhile East Rand councils. Okay, each with their own Eskom intake points and Eskom electrical supply agreements. So this, you know, when we amalgamated into the metro, it resulted in Ekurhuleni having 56 intake points, of which these 56 intake points are managed on 8 Eskom accounts. So some of those accounts will have, say, 2 pots to it. Others will have 6. Others will have 23, etc. But in total, it is 56 intake points. So all those Eskom agreements are now in one electricity supply agreement with Eskom. But that was with amalgamation. But now you'll see later on that with the wheeling, it goes back to almost a pot level again. So this is basically a plot of our pots on the right hand side on the map. This is basically all the pots that we're having. So you can just imagine for yourself the wheeling nightmare. I want to call it a nightmare, but it's not going to be a nightmare as long as you've got your ducks in a row. This nightmare will actually become a beautiful dream. So, but yeah, it requires a bit of a background checks, making sure that all your framework are in place, all your billing systems are in place, and then obviously your data and all your agreements. Okay, so also what we've got here is a mixed metro and Eskom licensed distribution networks. At this part, this is like an Eskom area. We have a Eskom area inside here, it's Takani, and then this part here, Tshwane, Davidton, that's an Eskom fed area. And then right here in the middle here of Benoni, there's also an Eskom fed area. So yeah, so it's quite a mixed, diverse network. And customer base. So the current NMD is standing at 2.64 gigawatts. Our highest last demand last month was 1.6 gigawatts. And the last total watt hours, and I'm going to try to read that out, but it is 738 billion, 392,964,770 watt hours. Or simply put 738 gigawatt hours or 0.738 terawatt hours. And that was just for the month of January. Maybe they're busy with the bill. So, okay, then if we move over to SALGO's wheeling guidelines. How well have Ekurhuleni aligned to these? Now, we started at the top to say senior staff buy-in. So this year, we just say energy officials were engaged by various interest-wheeling stakeholders, which led to a brainstorming by management through the presentations. We include possible tariffs. Now, this already, like I said, started in 2019. And it actually, one can actually say it resulted as from the 2018 load shedding. And there was a major change in the ERA Schedule 2 discussions, etc., and so on. And more IPP wanted to get onto the grid, etc., and so on. So, but then it became quite a discussion point around the stakeholders out there, is that they see wheeling as a way to save cost, as a way to contribute to the mixed generation load to the transmission network, etc., and so on. So that's how it started. And then we moved to the municipal wheeling policy. So we crafted the wheeling policy. However, we couldn't work this without actually looking at the tariffs as well. The wheeling policy and your tariffs goes hand in hand. So because simply that they are joined through the budget process as well. It's I don't want to say it's pointless, but you might have the policy, but if you have the figures at least, and to talk to that and to understand, because you'll see later on our policy what we're talking about, because we direct you with regard to a tariff structure. And so in the absence of not having a tariff structure on the side, you'll not be able to put the policy in place or actually present it to your council. So, right, so then council approved both the wheeling policy and the wheeling tariffs, which was, now the wheeling tariffs is part of the schedule of tariffs for loads. And then the policy will also reviewed based on industry requirements. Okay, so just want to go there. Wheeling tariffs are based on the Eskom WEPS tariffs for Eskom connected, as well as the avoided cost principles for Metro connected generators. NERSA only approved until 2022. So it was kind of acceptable. The 2019 were approved, 2020, 2021, and then 2022, we all got those letters, and I was going to flight it, but I just couldn't get my hands on it immediately. So when NASA said that the wheeling tariffs will not be approved until the wheeling framework, national wheeling framework, is in place. So that's where we stopped. We kept it on in our schedule of tariffs. We kept on submitting it to NASA for approval. We will get every year the same response to say that they will not approve this part, but we know it's council approved, so we know, and it's a working document, because remember, you need to align it every year with your cost of supply. You need to align it every year with Eskom's WEPS rates, etc., and so on, your own avoided cost as well. So we don't want to leave it at 2022. We kept on aligning it with the tariff structures and also the cost of supply. So then, if we move on to the wheeling agreements, so I'm finished now there. So wheeling agreements, what everybody was talking about, and even Eskom will call it an amendment to the ESA. Ekurhuleni made it an annexure or an addendum, so addition to the existing ESA. So when the customer opens an account with the council, they sign a service agreement with the council for the load part. So we just added an annexure to the off-taker's ESA. And so the first off-taker will already sign in 2022. That was with the approved tariffs from NERSA, the wheeling tariffs. So, and then since then, the city's Eskom Energy Service Agreement was amended, but it was amended for each pot, as well as the wheeling agreement was signed. Okay, so I'll show a bit more about it in detail, Nana. Then billing systems upgrades, but billing system is in place. The city and offtake are waiting for the plant to start to generate. The city's MDS and AMR online systems have the necessary billing arrangements in place to ensure the credits are accounted for and can be billed. And then obviously the last point is the open wheeling, to open up the wheeling market. Okay, so, and we say the market was awaiting the national approved wheeling guidelines or framework and the ability to approve the tariffs, and also Eskom's retail plan. Change will also assist in the simplicity of wheeling tariffs. Right, so this is the alignment with SALGO's guidelines. Then if we go to COE wheeling history. So how long has wheeling of electricity been part of City again? It has been part of us since 1993, when it was the erstwhile Benoni City Council, which is now part of the COE. And they had an Eskom wheeling contract in place. And it is still on it up until today. As I go through the slides, you'll see that, let's hope, I've got, I think maybe, okay, so let's start with the contract. I think it's going to come up on this side. So I just need to drag it over to this side. So here's the contract. And like you say, like I mentioned, it's 8 October, 9 November, 1993. And it's a wheeling of electricity. So, so this is the whole thing. It's for the Davidton and Wattville areas. So that is the first part of my presentation on this wheeling. Now, what does it consist? Okay, so it's basically in Benoni we have an income Eskom intake point here at our Benberg substation. So Eskom feeds in, and so this is our offtake point, intake point. So then we, Benoni's got a 132 kV line from the Benoni substation to Davidton substation. Now that is council's property, it's council's asset. They are the distribution network. So then from there, Eskom, then we provide power back to Eskom again, and Eskom provide power to the Ituatwa and Davidton areas. So that part is the wheeling part, using the open network, and then the other one is the bulk intake. It comes in from the bottom from Eskom. It gets fed to our 44 kV industrial substation. And from the industrial substation, that little piece there, that's where power is being wheeled to a 11 kV substation where Eskom will then provide their customers with power. Right, so just to give you the history of it, the context there, you can see 1999, and this is what's been happening, is that the previous administration actually wrote to Eskom to say that, look, you haven't applied this yet, and please apply the pricing adjustment, because the agreement was that both of them, if we look at the contract, both of them will have a metering at the delivery point, the point of delivery on Davidson side and Wattville side. And then that units will be then deducted from the main intake point at the top, Benberg and also the bulk. So they won't bill, that it won't be I also almost want to call it a transparent bill, to say that that's my total intake, that's your total point of delivery. The first one is the full charge, and then the second one is the deductible transactions. And then this is your total. No, they actually do a net metering action. So they deduct all the kVAs, the kilowatt hours, etc., and then they provide the bill. So what is now the wheeling agreement, and what is now the benefit for council here? So they have. So here's the Eskom use on credit account. So basically, what happens is we receive the bill from Eskom, So this is the first page, and this page is the main account. But this it consists of, say, 3 pots on this account. So one of them is pot 4. So there at the bottom, you can see there's a fixed charge of 101. So that's a credit, the minus. And then that same minus gets carried over to the first one as well. So we get, for use of system, that part where we wheel the energy on that 132 kV network, we receive 101,000 Rand credit for all the power that's been transported or wheeled. So that is that one. And then the other ones on the pot 6, very similar to the same exercise there. Also, this 805, it's got 23 accounts. So I'll just condense it to pot 44. You'll see there's minus 28,000. Now that's the small one for the Wattville area. So that 28,000 gets carried over to the front page as well, and that 28,000 Rand will then be deducted from the total bill. Right. So let's move over to the COE wheeling framework as per the ERA for IPPs. Okay. So I've given you that SALGA alignment, one-on-one, how how good we aligned with that. I'll say good. So now this is now the detail. So we've got a wheeling policy, and as mentioned, it's get council approved. So you can see there that this is an item sent to the council, approved. The City of Connect approves the amended policy. So there's E24 policy for the wheeling, and this is the content. So here's basically our background applicable legislation, also the definitions, and then here's our qualifying criteria. Okay, so like we discussed yesterday about the wheeling guideline. Now, our policy is kind of a guideline already, where we say that only customers on the tariff D and J connected at bigger or equal to 6.6 kV with a notified maximum demand of bigger or equal to 1 MVA. And then there's criteria. So if this tariff D customer do go lower than a 1 MVA, because that's in line with our tariff structure, he will move over to tariff E for his load, but he will remain with the NAC at 1 MVA. So we will still cap him on 1 MVA, despite the fact that his demand might have gone lower. So his load will be tariff E, but we're still going to honor the fact that he is entered into a wheeling agreement with the generator. So same with the tariff J customer, also 1 MVA above. Now, tariff J customers, they most likely the guys that are at about 20 to 40 to 60 MVA already. So it's very unlikely that they'll reach there, but we've seen worse in the industry happening. So this is the kind of the detail of it, the criterias, and so I'm not going to go too much into detail. So the top one is for the Eskom transmission, distribution, connected generators and wheeled customers that are within the license area. So Eskom connected the generator. This one is then for the Ekurhuleni distributed connected generators and wheeled to customers internally. And then we have a few others as well, where we say that outside the city. So we've made provision already for that, Josh, is that we did mention it. However, and we agree that there is a lot that needs to happen from a point of view, billing agreements, etc. So, but it has been that. So then we've got a methodology, and then just in general. Okay, so this is the policy as it stands currently, and it's approved and it's current. So then the wheeling tariff on its own, very similar. You'll see the wording is very similar to the policy. Here we just give now at least now figures to that. So there's the fixed charge, and there's the Eskom WEPs for generators connected through the Eskom transmission network, and then the ones that's connected through the City of Ekurhuleni's one. And then we have a very interesting one, is that all generators traders who wish to wheel energy generated from generators connected to the city to consumers inside the distribution license will pay the following distribution. So generators. So this is for the off-takers credit, and this is for the generator. Yes. Oh, sorry.
Yes,
My apologies.
yes.
My apologies.
Right.
My apologies. Sorry. Yeah, thank you. Sorry, there's the tariff G. Did I display the policy?
Yes, we saw the policy. Yes.
Thank you, Rendani.
Right.
Sorry, it's just with the links, it sometimes jumps to the other screen. Right, so this is, like I said, the wheeling, very similar to what the policy's wording are. It just now becomes more transactional, and it becomes now a document that will be approved by NASA, and where the policy is approved by the council. So we have the generators connected through Energy Eskom transmission network. This is the webs as is. I'll prove to you now that these rates and Eskom's webs rates are equal to one another. This is based on the avoided cost principle. Okay, so generators connected and wheeled within a city distribution network, the following. So they're connected and they supplying our own customers. Then we have the generator's cost, where he wished to wheel. So if he just wants to wheel, we're going to charge him, but we haven't applied that yet. So I'll get to the reason now why we haven't applied that. So these are the charges for our wheeling. Very straightforward, simple, no extras, like we seen yesterday with the low voltage subsidies, etc. and so on. And I'm not saying it's wrong. I'm not saying it's complicated, but it's very simplistic. Okay. So these are credits, the top, these two in this table. This is a debit. So these are credits, and these are debit. So this is an additional charge to the already load tariff charges. Okay. Good. Then also in line with our framework, we've also published and approved the revision of our electricity supply bylaws on 11 August 2022. And so you'll see there number 41, it's the wheeling, and there we have the definition of the wheeling, means the transportation of electricity by a generator or energy trader to a consumer through a network not owned, controlled or leased by either party, and deals with the financial flow of electrical engine. And then there's your bylaw itself. So obviously, we have the National Wheeling Framework from NERSA. From there, we have the bylaw. From there, we will have the policy, and then from there, we'll have a standing operating procedure, which is basically our tariffs. Okay, so that's the flow of our framework. But then also with the last standing operating procedures, you can add the agreements to that as well. That's kind of your SOP to that. So this is then the wheeling bylaw, and we say that it will be encapsulated in the policy and it has to be adhered to. Right, okay, good. So now jumping into the agreements. Okay, so I just want to first wheeling amendment. Okay, no, it's this one first, yeah. So, right, so like I mentioned, and just to protect the customer, I've just deleted a lot of the, the personal properties in terms of POPIA Act. So this was the document that was signed in 2022. So I'm just going to scroll down. There was signatures, and I just take it out with the HOD, 6th of July, 2022. Okay, so that was basically the last approved tariffs that we had from Eskom, the wheeling tariffs. So as part of this, sorry, I'm scrolling quite quickly through it. It's between us and the customer. We have our interpretation and definitions. And then if we go down, we will have the introduction. And then this is the qualifying criteria. And it's very aligned to the policy as well, but just with a more legality attached to it. The thing is, you can't divorce the policy with the legality, and you can't divorce the legality with an act or a regulation or a national policy. So here's our pair of this addendum agreement and general agreement. Is that what will be in place? Electricity invoice will be prepared, etc. No credit capacity or will be given to the customer. So no network capacity. Okay. So, and we will also not. There will not be banking of electricity. You will forfeit it. So all this in details are there. So this has been signed by the off-taker in 2022. So now this particular off-taker, they've got 5 accounts with council, and all 5 of them are qualifying accounts, tariff D customer. And so they had to sign an addendum for each and every electrical supply agreement with the council, which we've got. But then also, similarly, we also had now to council, us as council, had to sign with Eskom for each and every pot this customer wants the wheeling to be taken place, taken as the transportation pot. We had to sign a wheeling agreement with Eskom and also a new electricity supply agreement per pot. Okay. So I'm just going to show you, this is the wheeling agreement, and this is done now recently, last year still. So here's your wheeling amendment agreement to electricity supply agreement for electricity where energy is wheeled over the Eskom network for a connected to the Eskom network to the municipality. So I'm not going to go in too much details. It's between Eskom and the Ekurhuleni, and this is the wheeling agreement. Sorry. I'm not displaying it. My apologies, Radani. I'm coming there. Let's just start again. So here's the wheeling agreement. You can see the revision is very fresh in July 2024. So Eskom was then prepared and all good to go in July 2024 with this. So the agreement is between us and Eskom. And then obviously there's the wheeling, the introduction, the general agreement. So there specifically, we talk about the pot, the account we have with Eskom. So these ones I didn't take out because this is, I think it's open. So we are the customer, but in this wheeling agreement, they do mention about the actual customer, okay, and also the generator. So I just need to get there. So the seller and third party, I just took it out here. It is a 120 megawatt solar facility. The generator breaker, the 120 facility, that's a point of generator connection. So they do make mention of who this is. And then they'll also mention of what account, that this is our account. So now remember, we had on our side already who the off-taker will be. And the off-taker, and what we've seen is the off-taker is very applying due diligence to make sure that he or she gets that agreements in place for each and every particular. So, like I said, 120 megawatts solar facility that will be wheeled to 5 accounts. Maybe each one will get, say, 20, and then the last one will get 40, or whatever the case might be. So that is still, in the process to be discussed. So obviously the definitions, and then everything is just the normal information of what Eskom will normally have, your zones, your losses, etc., and so on, and then right at the bottom, just going to check there. There's another one. It's on the other one where it gives some more detail around the what's that. So right, that's the wheeling agreement. Okay, then the addendum to the electrical supply agreement that we have with Eskom. Like I said, we had to remember we had one electrical supply agreement for all 56 spots into one agreement. Now, with this wheeling agreement, it's now separated. So now we have another one, and with the same detail as a normal electrical supply agreement. Okay, so again, it's between the Eskom and the municipality. So I'm just going to zoom back again, just to. Okay, so and then it goes through your definitions of the financials, etc. And then there it actually states that. Remember, this is the ESA. It's no longer with the wheeling. So agrees to grant the customer benefit of diversity. So everything that is written in the previous ESA gets rewritten in this again. And you'll see at some point they say this is because of wheeling. So I've highlighted. Sorry, I'm scrolling quickly, so I'm not. Because this is the normal Eskom conditions. I just want to get into the yellow highlighted points. So okay, yeah. So there's the signed agreements between us and Eskom, and then we get to our annexures. So I actually could have printed it out, maybe the ones that I wanted to show, but okay, there's that. Okay, so this is very important that, so the tariff, financials, tariff applicable is Megaflex local authority. Now, I'm sure when it gets to Munich Flex, we're probably going to have to redo all the ESAs because it has to be aligned with whatever that's currently going on. Now, the guarantees, R0 deposit, waive for IPP supplies. So I don't know if you can recall, we had a discussion probably about 2 years ago, 2023, with Eskom, and the conclusion was that for IPP supplies, it will be waived the deposit. But I remember the words is that it will be, each one will be evaluated on its own merits. So I think that, but it was good. It was good for Ekurhuleni and for this customer that all of this has been exempted. Okay, so this is and I think that is about it that I wanted to show there. So yeah, so then it just, the last one is the connection point. Okay, right. So then now where are we and what does this mean for Ekurhuleni? We've got potential off-takers, and how many? Now remember the criteria was 6.6 kV and 1 MVA and above. Okay. You see that this is a summary of all our AMR meters and our bulk supplies. So this is basically the potential one. So on tariff J, we've got 5. Tariff D, we've got 265 in total. It's 269 customers that is currently sitting above 1 MVA. Now, this is, like I said, these are potential customers that wheeling can take place based on our current criteria. Yes, we can take it down to a lower tariff, tariff E, and say make it 500, but then that's going to like almost go into the thousands. And I think for the starting point, and to align it with what the guidelines were saying, and also Eskom said yesterday, let's go for the MV network, and then also go for the 1 MVA and above. So each one's got their own criteria based on their potential. And look, if you recall that currently we're at 1.6 gigawatts. Customer base currently is quite big enough. Sorry, I didn't bring that. We look at about 450,000 customers in total, not just these ones. For the previous one, for this potential off-takers, we're looking about 13,000 online customers, of which I would say at least 10,000 are bulk large power users. Okay, good. So now credit from Eskom, the WEPs. This is an extract from the tariff booklet, the Excel. So the top part is the Megaflex rates that Ekurhuleni will pay. So we are situated in that slot basically, but there are some of them in that slot as well. And then we on different ones as well, night save, etc. But this is the Megaflex rates. This part, oops, sorry. This one here is the WEPS rate. So this is the 563 peak high demand, 170 high season, and off peak 92 cents, peak 183 cents, 126 cents, 80 cents. So there you can see 80 cents, 126. We just captured in a rand value. So 183, 183, 92 cents, 92 cents, 170, 170, and 5. So these figures are aligned with the Eskom figures as well, to avoid any discrepancies, but also to have revenue neutrality. Council don't lose. And like we had that exercise yesterday, is that we still have our use of system markup, which is way above what, above these rates. Right. So then going on, COE billing, are we ready? And we would say yes, but there's a big but. And we're waiting, and we're waiting for the generator plant to start generating. So once the wait is over, how and when? Okay. So, and it was quite enlightening to see the presentation from Eskom yesterday, and I managed to grab this yesterday from the presentation. So there's your normal Megaflex for the load account, and there's your wheeled account. So the moment we start seeing the plant producing power, and it gets reflected onto the Eskom bill, we will see on our pot the gen wheeling credits. First of all, there's the administration charge, so that is the debit side, and there's the credit sides. Okay, so now, are we ready to when this happens? Now, the answer is yes. The thing is, we haven't had an actual, because to run it, we actually wanted to have actuals, because I'm going to show you now the way to do it. So so those same credits, and this is just an example of one of our customers that's it's a qualifying customer, and sorry, maybe just tell me if you can see it, or is it too, just go what's name. So okay, right, so let's put it like that. So there's the customer, the property code, the account number, the tariff. So then we have this part over there, from there up to there. That is the customer's load that we get straight from the master data management system. Okay, so the kilowatt hours with the amount is the kilowatt hours for standard, the off peak and the peak, and what is the total for, what's the total kilowatt hours, what's the total of this, there's your demand. We don't have a notified maximum demand, we've got a network access charge, and then there's reactive as well, and then the admin fee is our fixed charge, and there's the total. So now I just plug some values in to say that, okay, so here's the wheeling transactions. Sorry, I just want to do this quickly. So there's the wheeling transactions, all of this. And so we will see this on our master data management system, the MDMS, is to say, okay, right. Now, sorry, that same Eskom bill, when we receive the Eskom bill, we actually pass it on to the technicians or the officials at the master data management system. They identify and they allocate those ones to an off-taker. So once that's been identified and it's allocated, so now this is the allocation. So they'll allocate, say, 60,000 units to the standard, 70, that's the cost, and then 1,000 kilowatt hours on the peak, that with the cost. Now these costs is actually the WEPS credits that I've used. Okay, because you can see there's 129, there's the 183 for the peak, and this is the summer rates, and there's your 0.826. So these are actual figures of the WEPS credits. Okay. So, but then there's the admin. I'm just rounded off the 10,000. So you can see this customer's bill has come down from 508,000 to 430,000 based on the wheeling credits. Okay. So this is I would say the simplicity of the action. So we get the we get the bill from Eskom. The credits will be identified and allocated to the off-taker through that exercise on the master data management system. Now, once that has been allocated, now we have a monthly. Everybody's got has got their own terminologies for that. For the billing cycles, the billing that takes place, etc., and so on. So in our case, the billing that takes place is on a BG512 file. That's just the upload file. So from the master data management system, they will publish now that file to this. We've got solar billing. It used to be Venus billing, now it's solar billing. So into solar billing, and they'll upload it. Now, obviously, there's tariff codes that needs to be linked to that to say identify this as a credit. And once that's done, it was some. So unfortunately, I can't show you an example of the account because we are waiting for the generator to start producing. Right. Good. So then, just for noting, game changes in the near future. The regulatory rules on network charges for third-party wheeling from NASA, like we heard yesterday, it's approved. So, and I think we need to look at this from a municipal point of view and start actioning and apply our minds to what it says, what it can, what it cannot be. Are we going to continue with the simplicity? Are we going to add more complexity to that, or just have it straight to WEPS? I think the industry can kind of not dictate, but they can guide us into the right direction as well. And then also the NASA-approved Eskom Retail Tariff Plan application. So I think everybody's aware of this one. So this one, I'm just going to quickly flight it. And why I'm saying the retail plan is obviously this has changed. The time of use charges and the time of use times has changed. The municipal tariff rationalization has changed. This MuniFlex is got, so all your night saves, MiniFlex, MegaFlex, and I think there's a rural one as well, etc. Everything is now into one MuniFlex. So this is something that the municipalities need to align themselves. If this is approved, I know there was still the discussion last week regarding this with inputs from AMU and Salga. Whether they're going to be able to change it, I'm not sure. But this is this MuniFlex is a huge game changer. And I'll request the colleagues that they need to look at this retail plan, make themselves conversant with it. Obviously, the unbundling, that's an indicator on our side as well, the cost of supply. And I think this, there was this one that I also saw. But okay, this transmission loss factors for generators to reflect the current network configuration. Okay, so obviously that will have an effect on the generators, not on us, but ultimately it might filter down to your wheeling tariff development and so on. Okay, good. So further on COE billing, future automation. Just worth mentioning, NRS 049-5-2 has been approved. It is available on the NRS website. Now, what this entails, just in brief, it is this is what Cape Town is doing, is where they, but everybody wants to go that route in any case, and I'm pretty sure we can do it as well. But it's basically unlocking through security protocols. I must be able to unlock Eskom's metering data, and they must be able to unlock my metering data. And I must be, and same with the possibility of the off-taker to unlock it, but with security protocols, and to allow the visibility so that once that reading is published end of the month, I can immediately pull it into my billing system so that I can start doing. But it's and that's where, but it's not just end of the month, it's also the daily, the half hourly. The moment it's there, I can start producing. But like Josh showed yesterday, your data records just become immense. I can't remember the figure, but it was thousands, Josh. But yeah, that is the truth. So this is the future automation. And then I would like to say thank you, Josh, for the opportunity again to make myself presentable to you, but also represent Ekurhuleni. And yeah, so this was an awesome journey. I'll stop sharing, or do you want me to keep sharing?
Frans, that's magic. You can leave it there. Up to you.
Okay.
I think, yeah, thanks, Frans. That was really, really, really great. Lots of hand claps, emojis coming through there for you. Thanks for taking us into the details and